Hope you've got your beverage ready, or you've got your headphones in, listening to me at work or school even, whatever you've got going on. It's going to be a nice long one. Get into the big buy, hold, risk it, sell for round 6 here in NRL Fantasy. And I have basically gone through the who's hot list, so all the guys that people are trading in for the start, and then a few sort of pod plays. Obviously, the guys aren't bringing it at the moment, and then obviously a few sells as well. If we're looking at guys that are clear sells, it's those that have longer term injuries. So if you're looking at my side there, guys, it's Jordy Rapana, 6 to 8 weeks for him. Guys like Brendan Piakura, looks like we will have to wait another probably 2 weeks, 6 and 7, maybe getting back into round 8. So up to you what you want to do with Piakura. We've got some sells in like the Joe Chans. Blaze Talangi is a very frustrating one at 324. You could sell him as well. I'm not super clear on my potential trade outs and ins at the moment. There's a few guys that I'm very interested in, but hopefully this video helps you guys with your clarity, and obviously myself as well. I should be able to give you a bit of a general idea of where I'll be at come the back end of this video. Guys like Cam Murray as well, I think are just a bit of a hold this week, and then you could look to do something with him next week if you wanted to. I understand if you want to go him to like Nico Hines this week as well, then that could obviously work as well. It's definitely something to that you could go for. Guys like Lastic are a clear hold this week. I think your Raiders like Levi's, Ethan Strange, there's like this. We've got too many issues in terms of red dots at the moment that it's hard to sell too many of our green guys. But especially Raiders, no pun intended. Obviously the Cotters, the Grants. We'll speak about Terrell in a second. The Eels guys that you brought in, apart from Talangi, they're holds as well. We'll speak about Karaz as well there. I'll add him to the list, which I hadn't got him in there right now. He's going to be a fun one to talk about as well. I think I've already got Talon in and set. So let's get into the first one on the list, who's up 5.5%. A lot of people are grabbing him, and that's Angus Crichton there at 442. So he had a terrific game on the weekend. He got the full 80 minutes, and that's probably our only worry heading into this week, is that will he get those massive minutes that he got last week, or will it be around that 60 mark with Satili Tupanua taking sort of 20 from him there? Crichton doesn't look at his face in that photo there. He's not happy with Satili being on the bench and potentially taking some minutes from him. But at 442k, when he's priced at 32, we know that on the weekend there, he ended up with 5 missed tackles too, which felt a little bit harsh. And he hasn't had 5 missed tackles in a lot of years, all the way back until 2021 was last time he had more than 4 missed tackles. So I think that stat could be improved as well. You potentially lose the try assist from him, but I do think 36 tackles, a couple of tackle breaks, the odd offload, and over 100 meters is going to be pretty standard for him. And even if it was 60 minutes, maybe it's 30 tackles, still a tackle break and offload, and maybe like 80 or 90 meters with opportunities for attacking stats. I think that you can get at least a 40 to 45 from him, and then he has sort of 50s upside if he can get the 80 minutes. And with a nice run all the way through until a buy in round 14, playing 13, 16, 17 there, he's a guy that you could have the opportunity to get him to gun status, but at worst, he's going to be a scorer all the way through until that round 14, and you can make a decision from there. Having him in that fairly tough edge position for round 13 will be pretty fun. So Angus Crichton is a good buy this week, that is for sure. A little bit more safety, I think. Obviously, the Roosters pack situation is what it is. Satili is not playing great enough at the moment. Wong obviously didn't show too great a form, and you've got Crichton and Butcher, I think the only two at the moment that are doing well in that scenario. So I'd be looking to purchase Crichton this week some way at 440k. It's definitely not the hardest pick to make this week, that's for sure. Speaking of a bit more of a question mark, and that's Kale Iro. He's priced at 19 there, 268k, so cheap. Break even in the negatives now just because of that 49 last game. He got a try assist, he got the try, he had 4 tackle breaks in that one there, no missed tackles with 1 error. He got 47 in his game in 2022 with 12 tackle breaks. So we know that he has the ability to do great things. He's coming up against Isaiah Tass on that right-hand side, which is a really, really good spot to be in. Obviously with Tane Milne as well, Drew Hawkins, Dean Hawkins? I think I got that wrong last time. Dean Hawkins on that side. So I do think Euro, if you were to buy him this week, you're 100% playing him in your 17, and he could, he's definitely going to make money this week. The question mark is, can he score well? I think so. Can he keep his spot in the side? And if you think that he can, then he's a great purchase this week in that center position. You can straight swap him to Lungy to Kale Iro. Obviously, the question mark, is still there around if you're trying to get a Nico Hines, then he's probably a cheap guy to grab. Are you looking to get Angus Crichton as well? There's a few things that you do need to think about. But solely, if you're looking at Kale, I think he's a great purchase this week with obviously some risk to lose his spot to Talakai next week. If you just want to back his talent and think he's going to be great, then that could really work as well. James Shill this week. I personally would be selecting Kale Iro over Schiller. So it's an extra 50k, similar break even, and he's scored double with 2 line breaks into a try assist 3 line break game with 230 run meters for 48 points and a 34. So we know that he's not a terrific scorer going forward. Yes, he has dual position. Yes, we have multiple Raiders already, and I think that one plus his ability over the years to not score great, averaging 20 across his career with those 2 games in there, and there's only 10 games with 4s, 5s in that game in that there. Obviously, a couple of low games off the interchange, but that just shows that his highest score outside of that game that he just had was a 39 with the 2 line break try saver with a couple of tackle breaks effort. So he's not a buy for me. I think Iro would be a better selection than that of Schiller. For Chance, guys, he's a 581, obviously a cracking score on the weekend, priced at 42. And what you need to be looking at with Chance is his ability to score good points last year when he got over 70 minutes. So he averaged a 42 last year in over, when he got the full 80. And that is exactly what he's priced at right now. So I think that it would be not a great, incredible selection to get Chance this week, especially when you've got someone like Jaden Campbell, who is a lot cheaper, 100k cheaper at that, and priced a lot less, and has shown that he can score exactly the same over a period of time as Chance in the minutes that he's provided. So I do see he's up on that list. He's up over 1%, I think, 2.97% actually. That you are chasing last week's 65 with him, unfortunately, I think, in my opinion. When you're looking at that score there, how many times did he get above 60 last year? And the answer is 1 in round 26 there last year. There was a good game I had for him at one point when I brought him in. Was it 56? Yeah, 56, I think, that first game I brought him in. And then he went 53, a couple of lower ones, a 52 and a 73. So yeah, that's what you're looking at with Chance, that this is his second highest score. Last year, he played great. He looked awesome on the weekend. The Warriors are good, but they were great last year. So I don't see him as being a perfect buy by any stretch. Chevy Stewart at 230k. I would also have Kale Iro over Stewart. I do think his spot is fairly safe in this side, but we did see in the trial matches that he wasn't an incredible scorer from a fantasy perspective in those couple of trials that he showed. And then Ricky decided that he wasn't ready for that full-time gig in the fullback position, and I completely understand that. He's the cheapest of the lot. Kale has the best fantasy game. Stewart would have the second best fantasy game over that of Schiller. I do think it's his spot going forward now, especially if he can play okay. Obviously, if he plays okay, right, and let's just say in fantasy he averages 30, that means he's done enough on the park to warrant some good scoring. And likely he's going to keep that spot, especially if he kind of meshes well with the team. Rapana's 6 to 8 weeks away. I think that now that they've thrusted Chevy into this team, he's had a bunch of weeks now to work on it in Cup. I think he's ready. So if you think that if that 230k allows you to get a Hines, or if you're really excited about him, that price it really helps you out, and you need a wing fullback, you're going to play him this week against the Titans. It's a good entry point to grab Chevy. Then awesome. I think you can just go for it. Obviously playing round 13 as well is cool, and 16, so a fullback in those that you can get at 230. If he keeps his spot, it's going to work out really well. So Kale into Chevy into Schiller, if you're looking at those cheaper guys on the list. Jaden Campbell, 481. So as I just said, I think he's a better selection than that of Chance. Yes, in a worse team, but we know he has that free-flowing style of play. He got that 60 on the weekend, as I said, with 2 try savers and 2 turnover tackles. So you take a bit of that away, and he's obviously in the mid-40s. And you're looking at a run here of Canberra into Manly, Warriors, and Storm into Cowboys again. So it's not a crazy, exciting, good run. Broncos in round 12 as well. No real clear matchup in there that you go, oh, I'm excited for that. But he obviously scored 60 against Cowboys, and he could do that, against some good teams. The Dolphins spanked him, and he got 27. So that was with a line break as well. He has the attack in him. It's just, is he the guy that you want in your side this week? Or do you want to try and get up to the Turbos and the Pongers in the wing fullback position? But again, sometimes you can't have that luxury to go right to the top guys, and you've got to hope for better scores from these mid-range or the cheaper guys. And Campbell is a player that you can get that out of because he has that upside. Jai Gray, he's the next guy that I should have mentioned. Sorry, in that list of the cheapies to look at. Jai, it looks like he's got this spot for 3 weeks. He has a bye next week as well, but that 3 weeks, it is the Sharkies who they should get beat by. It is Melbourne and it is Panthers with a bye wedged in the middle of it next week in round 7. So he's someone that has so much talent, and he's been scoring really well in Cup from a fantasy perspective, and is a terrific player, right? So you look at that and you go, well, we know that he can score well, and he looked great in that trial that we got to see from him. But his team's in disarray. The bye, you can only pick him in half as well, not wing fullback. So it's a tough selection in my opinion. Again, I'd go Kale Iro. I'd then go Chevy and then Jai, just for the situation that he finds himself in. Like, it could be 3 weeks where Chevy it has more chance of being longer term. And can Jai make enough money in 3 weeks with a buy in it? I just don't think it's a terrific situation to find yourself in, to have him. And then if he does lose his spot in 3 weeks and he's averaged 30, then he's only made a tiny bit of cash, like 50K. And it's not enough for you at this point. Shawnee Johnson at 814. So he obviously crushed it last week, which was great. He's had one low score at 26, and he's had 59 as his lowest score outside of that. I'm expecting him to average 60 for the year, so probably a tiny bit of cash to be made. But you're not buying him for that. You're buying him for the points, and you're buying him for the run that's coming up. So Manly this week, I think it'll be a close one into Dragons, Titans over the next few, which is cool. But he's obviously someone you can hold longer term. He do have 3 buys remaining. Obviously, there's been five rounds down, so 5 teams have removed one of their buys. He's got one in round 13 and 19, which is a little bit frustrating from an overall perspective. But, he's not going to have to try and, back up from Origin or anything like that. So if you do want Johnson this week, there are a few jumping on him. He's actually owned by almost 20% of teams. So, yeah, a lot of Waz fans, obviously, and my girlfriend. So that's that. But SJ at 814 is a good purchase. I do think that going to Nico is more of the play. Obviously 130k more expensive, but he's a good one to look at for sure. And let's speak about Nico now at 938. Obviously coming off some odd games. He's gone 50, 77, 50, 76. So four good games, averaging 63.3. He's been almost priced accordingly now, down at 67. I think he can get back into the 70s. And when you look at the run coming up as well, it's Bunnies who are leaking points, Cowboys who are leaking points, Canberra are solid, into Dragons that are leaking points as well. Before a few tougher ones, obviously Storm, Roosters, and Penrith. But if he doesn't make Origin, he's a really, really good buy. So the question this week is, do you grab Nico Hines now? Or do you wait for a Cleary next week? Or do you wait for Hines next week against the Cows? And you can't get to him this week. You're building up a little bit of cash. Maybe you're looking to go Murray to Hines like myself, or another gun that gets injured up to Hines. Then that could be your play this week. But I do think that he's going to get a few of these 50s out of his game. Obviously, it does seem like when they lose or it's a close game, he hasn't played his best, but we know what he can do. He has no tries yet, and he only has 1 try assist and 1 line break. So it's a pretty slow start for Hines, and we know that when he gets a few of those stats, then you're going to get the 90s and 100s coming into his game there. The 98 against the Dragons last year with 3 try assists, 5 line break assists. He got a 95 with a try in round 9 there. He's got a 94, 82, and then a 61, 3 weeks in a row with tries last year as well, and a 90 with a try. So when it does come, he's going to go bonkers. It's just when is that going to happen? And he's the best captaincy option this week, clear as day. Second best captaincy option, is it Kalen Ponga? I don't know. He's scoring really well at a 738k price point now. He's priced at 53, which I still think is a little bit low for what he'll be averaging. I expect it to be about a 57 or 58. Just based off how he's been playing the last few weeks, cap that off with the odd 40 odd or an odd 50, and cap with a 70 or 67 like he got last week. That was his first try of the year, and he only has 3 try assists. So a bunch of line breaks in there and good tackle break numbers for the most part. But for Ponga, kicking goals, Roosters who are leaking at the moment, Dogs into Dolphins, Wilds will be a tough game, but Tigers, Titans, it's going to be very hard not to own Kalyn Ponga over the next selection of weeks, in my opinion. So I'm looking to try and get him in. How I do it is another question mark, but I'm going to try my best to get him in this week. And I should have done last week. So do you just bite the bullet and fix it up? He's owned by 40% of teams, and yeah, it's going to be hard not to own him against the Dogs, against the Dolphins, and the like from there. So Ponga, a terrific purchase in the wing fullback position. Turbo is obviously the other, bloke on the list. So Tommy Trebojevic at 675. So you get him at 60k cheaper. So if you can't get to Ponga, Tommy's a great purchase there as well, but does have a little bit of a harder, lot of matchups after this week. He's got Titans and Para, but he scored great against the Panthers. So it doesn't matter so much if he has a super hard matchup. That's the question you got to ask yourself. Moving on to Joseph Manu, 671. So he's a fullback this week, which is great. He's got a little bit of an up and down schedule. He's got Melbourne and Broncos sandwiched into the next few weeks, but Newcastle this week is good. And I suppose the question mark here is, do you want a center wing fullback dual player at 671 priced at 48 that has these big games in him? He obviously got the 61 against Panthers, could have had a try in that. He's looking awesome. 58 last week against the Dogs. We know that he can have 50 plus upside. He has a 12 in his game though as well. So he could get, when he gets moved back to center, when Teddy comes back, he has the ability to go 20 odd, 30 odd games with bunch of missed tackles, which is hilarious that the only game he didn't get missed tackles was against Taylor May. But he doesn't seem like as much of a must-have, in my opinion. We'll want him over the bye period, but can we wait until then? That's where I'm thinking right now. Break even around the 40 mark. He's not going to go crazy. Could go big this week against the Knights, but they're in a little bit of trouble as well, the Roosters at the moment. So there's only so much he can do on his own. Tamari Martin, he's a fun one at 417k. After his really, really good score in round one, his first round there, a 60 with a try, 2 line breaks, a try assist, great tackle numbers there, and a couple of turnovers. It does seem like a very high stat game for him, and I'm expecting him to be in the 30s, which is why I didn't pick him as a buy last week. When a few people asked, I was like, not the best, just considering he's at 370 odd, priced at 28, 29, expect early 30s for him, and I still expect that. You've missed the 60 now. I just don't think it's worth buying him at this price point. Although he's going to have random games where he does well, and he looked awesome. So that's the exciting part. Drinkwater, I have him as the third best pick in my opinion. He's obviously the guy that isn't going to play Origin most likely, so that's something to look at, and has him as an important player to look at. If it's between him and Turbo, then you go for Turbo. If it's between him and Ponga, I think you go for Ponga as well. So he's the most expensive out of the 3, and that's why I'd go the other 2. And then make sure you have Pap, and then Drinkwater I think is your 4th best option to grab this week. Pap I still have very high on that list, guys. So some people might have been annoyed by his score last week. He's owned by a lot of people, but look at the run that Storm have over the next bunch of weeks. As we spoke about in that impact to the next 3 rounds video, it'd be really important to go have a look at that one. Thanks to the 4,000 people that did. You're all legends. But the Dogs into Roosters, Rabbitohs, Titans. That's a really nice 4-week play. And we know what Pap can do with some of those massive scores. We saw an 81 in round 2, a 51 in round 3 with a try and a couple of line breaks in both of those. He's got through a few of the tough ones now in Panthers and Broncos, the 2 hardest matchups for fullbacks, in my opinion, and the stats say so as well. And he's going to come out the other side and do really well, I think, is how that one plays. So Pap's a really important one to have as well. Stefano, we need to talk about a 680k. This is the last week to jump on. He's priced at 49, and you look at last year's stats, and he's up a lot, right? When you look at what he averaged, it was 42.7 in 46 minutes. And we do see that when he plays bigger minutes, right? If you filter out his career now to over 50 minutes, which is what he's playing at the moment, he averages 54. So you could look at these games this year, which he's got round 2, round 3, round 4, and 5. He has over 50 minutes, and he's doing some good work. 54 across both years. 56.8 this year with that line break on the weekend, 57 minutes so. So that's a little bit high, but I do expect somewhere in the mid-50s to average out. Some game at 60 like he had in round 3, and the other one's in the early 50s there. Averaging 5.3 tackle breaks and 1 offload, 140 meters across those 4 games. Can he continue doing that? I'm not sure. I think that's a little bit high. I'd probably expect him to hit like a 51, 52 average at this point. We know some of the forwards, they start super well and then they start to get some knocks and they tire out a bit. So yeah, 51, 52, couple of points of value. Kind of had to grab him last week as well. One of those guys that I feel like we'd be chasing. Jerome Hughes looked the best he had in years. And when he was playing his best, it was 2021, he averaged 61, which was massive. 2020, he killed it as well. Not as much, sorry, 49 for him. 2022, he had a good period, but yeah, it was at 47. So he's looking more and more like that 2021 COVID ball year. And you're seeing that in some of the scores. So no try in round 2, got a 68. Picked up a try, a couple of try assists last week and doing amazing things with a 69. So when he's priced at 53, I can see him being a mid-50s guy, 55, 56, probably no more than that. But also has the ability to go down into the high 40s type of range as well. So that's something you need to think about when you're looking at Jerome. If you want him in your side, is that you got to look at him right now where he's priced at. And if you are buying him now, you're holding him for a long period. I think at least until round 19, you'd be holding Jerome in your side. And can you stomach that? Is that exciting for you? Make that decision yourself. Sean Bloor. Speaking about the Storm players, he's an interesting one at 526. And then we'll speak about Eli Katoa as well. But Shawnee at 526, priced at 38. I definitely think he's a mid-40s scorer. So probably 7 to 8 points of value. If he can get himself up to 80 minutes, which he's in it, if Howarth doesn't end up on the bench this week, I think that's going to be a really good chance of him playing 80. And if that's the case, he can sneak himself up to a 50 average and could be a really good purchase coming into this week. Someone I'm actually looking at myself. If I'm not able to get up to Ponga, if I'm not able to get up to Hines, then I do think that Shawnee Bloor and potentially Crichton are 2 guys I'd be looking at selecting my side. Obviously not in a great position myself. If I can make some good money still and get guys that could be keeper level players in the mid-range, then that's something I am willing to look at. And it's nothing set in stone. He's very much a pod play at the moment for those interested in Shawnee. But I could definitely picture worse players to look at. We look at 2023 when he played minutes over 50. He was a 43 average. If we went over the 60 mark, it's a 47.8. in those games in the second row. And the 4 games there when he went to play on the edge with a massive 77 in there, a 51 with no tries, no try assists in that time. So Blory definitely has the little 10 points of value potential, but it could also be like a 42 guy. And maybe Joe Chan takes his spot at some point. There's a few things to think about there with Shawnee for sure. Dylan Lucas, 561, priced at 40, right? But we know that Lucas is an absolute killer when he's on there for big minutes. And the big question mark now is there's some news that Frizzell could be out for sort of another 2 to 4 weeks. And if that's the case, then Lucas could make some money and do good things. But my worry with trading him in compared to that of Bloor, looking at Aitken as well, is that it's another headache you're going to have in a couple of weeks. Like, he's going to score well. It's frustrating watching it go round like it was for me last week, and he scored a try and got KPP. He didn't score a try, but the headaches that come up in a few weeks when you do have to look to sell him again, that's where the issue comes up. And we're using enough trades at the moment. There's enough things going on that Lucas, is he one of those guys that you need to or want to think about trading out in your side? It's probably not that play, to be honest with you there. Aitken at 600k, as I said, he's gone up a fair bit in price now. So he's priced at 43. It's not the absolute slam dunk that it was 2 weeks ago. And he's gone 53 and 48 in that time and scored exactly what the stats say and exactly what we thought he would. And he would have got in the 50s last week if it wasn't for going off with what we see as cramps. So he'll be fine, it looks like. And comes up against the Broncos, and Jordan Ricky seems like he might be out too. So I wonder what edge they're going to play there. But Aitken at this stage, likely to have a few more weeks. Could have longer. It is the last-ditch effort if you want to grab him. If you think Connolly's going to be out for a while, he's still in a knee brace, then that's fine as well. James Tedesco, guys, up to you with him. He's got a very high break even in the 80s after his 5 and the 32 back-to-back. If you suspect that he's not going to score incredibly well. He's going to miss this Knights one. He comes back against Melbourne, has Broncos in there in the Wars, obviously sandwiched with Dragons in the middle. I understand if you were to trade Tedesco straight to Turbo, straight to Drinky, straight to Pap or Ponga. They're the 4 guys if you want to go for it. Satilli, not much to say on him. He's just a clear sell. Get him out of your side unless you, again, can't play 17, but I still even think then he's just going to lose money. Off the bench, can't see him starting. So off the bench, he's going to lose money. Just sell him, I think, and play with 16. That's where he's at the moment. Blaze Talangi as well at 324, guys. He's a sell coming into this week. You can hold it at 324, but also if you want to grab one of those cheaper guys, he could be a really awesome guy to use for that. Super frustrating that he was the guy to be dropped. Sorry for dragging you guys into that one, but at the time, he was playing great. The team was playing okay. They've had a shocker, and Brad Arthur's just wielded the axe. So it was an unlikely scenario, but they're looking to find anything at the moment. Mike Acevo's been dropped as well, so he wasn't the only casualty. Obviously, a very easy one to push out because he was the young guy in the side. You could wait. You can see what happens this week. If Brown was to get injured, if Assi was to get injured, if a centre was to get injured, I think he could come back into this side. But otherwise, he's fine to hold as well, sell as well. I'm seeing Isaiah Yeo on the sell list, guys. He's down at 1.25% on the solds. Ruben Garrick's in the sold list as well. I think if you've got Garrick, I think he's a hold. Dual position, super important type of player. Samuel Afinu as well. With the head knock, you could sell or hold. I'm fine with that as well. Blake Taff, I completely understand the sell. Same with Latrell. Selling him. Marin is injured. Sell him as well. All right, where are we at? Isaiah Yeo. So yeah, he's way too oversold, guys. A few people asked me. I had someone in there said, "Oh, I'm in like the top 100, doing really well. Got Isaiah Yeo. I want to stay in the top 100. Should I sell Isaiah Yeo?" And guys, you're gonna want him for each of these matchups all the way through until Origin. You could sell then if you want, but then even then again, Isaiah Yeo is one of those guys you could hold throughout that period. He seems to, in round 14, 17, and 20, come out and play 80 minutes anyway after Origin. So he's an easy one to hold longer term. If that was the case, you'd only miss him for sort of 4 games and then potentially a resting in round 27. And he's going to score that well, averaging 64 there. You're going to sell him this week and get a good score, get Hines in or something like that, but then you're going to want him back the next week, and I think you'll fall further behind using that trade than using that trade. Using that trade than saving that trade, I should say. So there you go. Lowest score of 57 this year. It's so consistent, and I wish I had someone like him in my side. Taylor May, hold or sell. Completely fine, guys. He does come up against the Tigers the following week, and then, Cows who leak points, Rabbitohs who leak points, Dogs who leak points. Oh, God, that's such a nice run. I can't sell him, can I? There's no way in the world. See, my thing with Taylor, guys, is that if he's the guy I sell, I can get Ponga. I could also sell Karaz and get Ponga, so not in the worst spot. But yeah, when you look at that, Tigers, Cowboys, Rabbitohs, and Dogs who can all leak points, that's really tough to sell him. And then Dragons in round 13 as well. Yeah. And has a nice base. He has a solid base, but just hasn't scored a try yet at all. 1 try assist, 2 line breaks, no tries. The only time he got line breaks was the games he scored really well. So yeah, that's that with Taylor. I think he's a hold. Priced at 40, he's going to have big games eventually, isn't he? People are telling me to hold. I think it's a good idea. I'm coming around, guys. Xavier Wilson at 311 in that one. Who did I forget to mention? Oh, I spoke about Taylor. I think we're good with that. Yeah, that's cool. With Xavier, 311k dual position, gets back into this side with the lower break even. If you need a mid-edge dual guy, I think you'll keep his spot in the side, then that price, he's sweet. He's owned by a lot of people already, so good stuff for anyone who owns him. He's back in this side. Liam Henry's probably the only other one that we should mention. I think for him, it's a frustrating one. He's got a higher break even now. He got 2 penalties along with his 4 tackles on the weekend. And was scoring really well before that, but unless there's another injury to Fish or something like that, he'll be in the 30s in minutes and probably has 5 points of value left. So he's one you can hold or sell. I think that's fine as well. Expect a little bit more money to be gained. It won't be in round 7. It could be in round 8, 9, 10. You make a little bit. Do you want to hold him over Origin? The guys don't miss for Origin. That's an interesting one to think of. Up to you on that one, though. Terrell May, 667. It all just points to him causing some issues for Robbo. the bus missing, whatever it is. His PPM's still incredible. He's at 1.04 across his career. This year in 2024, he's at 1.09. So if he gets back to 50 minutes, he's only priced at 48 still. He still has some more money to make if he can get back to, hitting a 54 this week, keeps him in his break even, and he hardly moves, whichever way. Yeah, I think the break evens are very close here on footystats.com. But his lowest score outside of that is 50 when he gets 50 plus minutes. So expect that again on the weekend. If he gets low minutes again, then we know something's up and he needs to be sold. But I think you'll kick yourself if you sell him, given he plays round 13 as well. And it's just a non-origin superstar. DCE. All right. Very tough start. And then he gets goal kicking and kills it against Panthers. So Warriors this week could be a close game. Has a nice run after that. So you could grab onto DCE now. But I think you're selling him in round 13 because he's got that origin game or the bye for them into Penrith. And then he misses 17 as well, along with 16, 19, and then 22. So he misses too many games. I think if you're buying now, you're selling around 13. So that's up to you. I think he's going to make a little bit of money here over the next bit, get himself up closer to a 60 average again, where his mean is, and that'll be fine. I already spoke about Hughesy. Jacko Ford, 695. Again, it's probably a little bit late. He's gone up a fair bit of coin, but some really good scores there, obviously, over the last few weeks there. 49, 49, 48, 64, and 57 for him. It's been great. That's his third try of the season. Can he continue to score tries and hit a 53 average? If that's the case, it's still only 3 points of value. Yes, he doesn't play Origin, but they miss for 13 and 19, so it kind of hurts you a little bit anyway. Obviously, get him from the minor ones, but I think 40, we've probably done our dash on him and look to grab someone else. Eli Katoa. Eli Katoa, that's who I said with Hughes was we need to talk about, so I forgot to write him in there. He's a 700k now, priced at 50, so obviously after that big jump, he was someone that we think can average somewhere in the mid-50s this year, and that 74 gives him that upside, right? So it's a mid-40s kind of floor into a 70-odd upside. So expect somewhere on the random games that he scores tries. In between, gets that 40-odd, low 50s, 55 average, something like that. So maybe 5 points of value. Do you go for Blore over Katoa? Obviously, there's more question marks over Blore, but a lot cheaper. That's for sure. They'll both, if they both started, they're both going to be good buys to start the season. Abby Coruscant, he's priced at 50, so there's a little bit of worry with him that with Simpkin on the bench as well, which I didn't mention in the team list analysis yesterday, that's obviously cause for concern and potential for him to play a few less minutes. And obviously with a quad strain or whatever he's dealing with, he's not kicking goals and potentially gets a few less minutes. So that's frustrating. If you, I don't know if that bench will change either. They've got a few things going on there. If you own Appy, I think it's a 1 more week hold and then decide against Penrith next week because he's got Penrith into Broncos. So 1 more week hold, then decide from there. If you do want to sell, if you want to go him to Hines, I completely understand that too. Guys like Salmon, guys like Hughes are all holds this week. Josh Curran, if you don't have many dogs, I think he's still a buy. Priced at 43, I'm expecting him to go somewhere near the 50 mark. So minimum 5 points of value, potentially upside into the early 50s. Not sure if he's actually going to play edge this week either. So he might have a few games of edge. If he keeps playing middle, hopefully he starts. Surely he starts this week with no Kurt Mann. So I do think he gets a little bit more of an increased role. Maybe uses plays like Kurt Mann was a little bit. They're going to miss him though for sure. 66 minutes last week, got a 45. Did he get down dated a bit? It was a 48, wasn't he? Yeah. So 46 tackles, 4 misses for him with an error. So no tackle breaks, no offloads. No tackle breaks the last 2 weeks. He's been very low on that tackle break front, which, is something that he comes across. Sometimes 1s, 2s, 0s, 3s or 4s. So not too out of the ordinary, but I'm expecting a 50 odd this week. And I think he's going to work hard against the Melbourne team. But obviously a buy-in round, in a couple of rounds. He plays 13, 14 and 16, 17. So it's pretty cool to own him over that period. And then the final one, guys, is Jacob Kiraz at 582. So he's someone that I can sell this week. And look, it's definitely a potential one. I don't see him scoring super well against Melbourne. I wonder how he's going to go against Newcastle when he's got, Bradman Best, potentially Greg Marzu, and Ponga absolutely ripping him to shreds. Oh, I didn't even think of that until now. That's tough. He's going to have Munster, Blore this week coming up. Meany. Yeah, okay. Could be a bit tough. Into a bye. And then Tigers Penrith. So Tigers one could be all right, but the Penrith one, not exciting at all Or has he got on that side? Oh, he's got Taylor May. So that's right. Taylor May doesn't get the ball, so he's not going to miss too many tackles, Karaz. Hopefully by that point, Taylor's absolutely killing it. So Karaz, definitely a guy that I could move on this week for Ponga, if that's the way I wanted to play it. If I didn't want to go for that trade, then I think I've got enough cash to go like Blaze Talangi at 324 to like Blore. So that's potential as well. But Karaz to Ponga, I will have enough after getting Rapiner to Crichton, for example, there. So that's my general thoughts with my side. That's all the buy, hold, risk itself for this week. Let me know what you're looking to do after hearing that information, and let me know if you made it to the end. You're an absolute legend if you have. And we'll get into the quick version will come out later today as well, as it always does. So for the fast fire legends, and then video obviously with Scoop. It's going to come out in tomorrow morning, which is going to be hectic as well. And we'll go through some teams, some questions, and the like, as we always do. So a big thank you to all you guys coming into this one for round 6. I hope it really helped you guys out, and you can have a cracking round 6, because it was a shocker for me. 88,500 for the round 5 rank. Hopefully we can get that down into the early thousands and make some good rankings there. And I hope you guys can too. Big thanks for being here. See you in the next one.